Topic 2, says our paper over there. The Telegram CEO was arrested in France.
Yeah.
Pavel Durov, the CEO of Telegram, arrested this week on suspicion of failing to act against illicit actions on the service, such as drug trafficking, fraud, and the exchange of child sexual assault material. His arrest has caused a debate about free speech and government censorship, with figures such as...
You can't even say his name?
Look,
is this like your personal Voldemort now?
No, but it's just so stupid. With figures such as Elon Musk and Edward Snowden publicly defending Durov, as if Twitter doesn't follow all of the rules with respect to, backdoors and whatever else. It's like it's only some irrelevant market in South America that they'll go to bat against. Give it a rest. Anyway, Edward Snowden has at least some street cred here. Durov certainly seems to have a history of resisting government influence. Now, he seems to actually have a history of it, not just a history of being a blowhard. In 2006, he created the Facebook-like social media site now called VK in his native country of Russia. It quickly became adopted by Russia's political opposition. The Kremlin allegedly began pressuring Durov to sell the site to more state-sympathetic parties in 2011. And when the Kremlin pressures you to do something, you either do it or you end up dead. It's actually very different from the kind of bleating about political censorship or whatever else that happens from some people. Durov left Russia in 2014, claiming it was to avoid requests from the Kremlin to hand over the data of Ukrainian protesters, though he did succumb to pressure and sell his VK shares.
To be clear, government censorship does happen here, despite
yes.
the bleeding or not.
Yes.
It's just, yeah.
It's very different from, hey, you should sell your shares, and then if you don't, then you jump out of a window.
And shoot yourself in the back of the head at the same time.
Yeah.
Very crafty.
All right. While Telegram has a reputation for lax moderation, Durov gave an interview to Financial Times this March where he claimed Telegram planned to improve moderation within the year using AI-related mechanisms, though he stated he didn't think the app should police people unless they cross red lines. It's not clear what those lines are to him. This arrest has reignited the conversation on end-to-end encryption, since Durov was also charged with providing encryption without the required declaration. But Telegram's encryption is actually pretty bad, says our notes. It's not on by default. The setting is not the easiest thing to find. It only works for one-on-one conversations and can only be enabled when your conversation partner is also online.
Interesting.
Which...
That's a weird last
I have
one.
to confess, I actually didn't know that. I knew Signal was like the better one, but I actually didn't know these details. So
is it actually bad, or are the settings just bad? Because it said the encryption is bad, but is that true?
If it only works while your partner's online, it leaves a lot of room for error.
Can only be enabled when the partner is online.
Is also online, yeah.
I'm assuming you turn it on and then it's on for that conversation.
Yeah, to me, that's a really poor mechanism for encryption. If I am using an app that I think is encrypted,
that doesn't mean that the encryption itself is bad.
No. I'm not saying AES whatever, the actual encryption. I'm saying the implementation of the encryption in the app leaves a lot of room for user error. Is that a better way of phrasing it?
Sure. Yeah. I think saying the encryption is bad is rough. I'm trying to see, is this the one that I use? I always get them mixed up.
The Wiley in Floatplane chat says, I've also seen some academic analyses that their crypto design is questionable at best.
Okay, yeah. I'm not even saying it's not legit. I don't know.
Because it's hand-rolled implementation instead of using a standard, well-tested one. Yeah, there's a number of people that are talking in Floatplane chat about how it's got issues, apparently. Or at least could have issues. So, Luke.
Yes. I'm trying to figure. Okay, whatever.
An interesting take that I read on this. I believe this was an article somewhere I was reading. I forget. The point is, they basically were like, okay, here's a devil's advocate sort of take on this. I signed up for Telegram. I joined some groups, and within minutes, I had offers for everything from drugs to human trafficking to government state-sponsored subterfuge. Like, it was absolutely wild how Telegram was essentially, should you choose to unlock that capability, which is very simple to do, was basically a black market, essentially. That's one perspective where if you were to go, okay, he's in trouble for, providing people with encrypted communication, that sounds pretty bad. Or he is in trouble for essentially running a black market social network. I have a complicated position on this, but I thought maybe I'd let you go first. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. Government-enforced platform moderation is always kind of a weird thing.
State-sponsored subterfuge, not centrifuge.
Did you say centrifuge?
No.
Oh, who said centrifuge?
Someone in the chat.
That's Stuxnet, right?
That's pretty good.
For uranium? What? Floatplane chat.
Sorry, I liked Dan's comment. Yeah, I don't know. Like state required moderation of platforms is weird. It goes both ways, right? It's the same thing as the opposite. State required non-moderation of platforms is also weird, in my opinion. Like when people say like rah, but my free speech, it's like, sure, but this isn't government property or public property or anything of the sort. This is my random website.
We also have to be super careful with like free speech, because free speech means free of government oppression. It doesn't mean anything to do with a private entity that owns the platform.
Yeah. So that's kind of weird in one side, but then the government forcing it is also weird because, again, it's my platform, isn't it? So that's odd. But if they make certain things, I don't know. But
there has to be some oversight,
yes.
Right? Because you can't say
because you can't harbor. There's the whatever being an accessory to a crime or whatever.
If I'm a government and I tell you, look, you're not allowed to log anything from minors. Or even suspected minors.
Yeah. So like
That's legit.
Support that.
I would support that.
Yeah.
It's a nuanced conversation.
Yes.
But I don't think there's any avoiding that. For me, I support the existence of a platform like this, even if I wouldn't run it.
It's scary when there are no tools to not be observed by the government. Because we have seen so many times throughout history that just not go well.
But the thing is that they're also.
But then you also don't want to harbor all this bad stuff.
There should be an expectation of privacy.
Yes.
I mean, when you sent a letter in the year 1823 or whatever, the expectation was that it is illegal to read it.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are not allowed to open it.
Yeah.
That's like not how that works. And that's basically all that Telegram is. Name?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all it is it's an implicitly telegrammed message to someone that is intended for their eyes and their eyes only.
Yeah.
And so, I look at this and I go,
if a platform wants to do that, it's hard for me to say that they shouldn't be able to.
And if they're Chad enough to stand up to the regimes that would oppress people for communicating about things that aren't human trafficking, that are just living their lives and existing and that aren't bothering anybody, like freedom of expression, freedom of religion, whatever the case may be, then that's great. Like, you go, girl.
That's the weird thing. Like tools, screwdriver here, you could stab someone with it. You can use a hammer for bad things. This is an argument that works for so many things. Something that can absolutely be used for good can very often also be used for bad things. But I don't know. You put yourself in a really bad spot if you remove these things that can be used for good, because they can also be used for bad.
Yeah.
You lose out on incredibly important things.
I mean, we talked about this in our recent hacking tools.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what? So
if
we
you
get rid of
ban
hammers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point.
It's the hammer argument.
Yeah, but like with the hacking tools, if you ban all the hacking tools, then people aren't going to know how secure their things are as easily, and also the people that have the ability to just make them anyways.
Yeah.
Because some of them aren't inherently that complicated,
No.
or now that the like plans for making them are online, if you're crafty, you can make maybe a not quite as good version, but you can make your own version anyways. So like they're still going to exist, and now it's just harder for good people to get their hands on it.
But with all of that said, I couldn't look in the eye of a trafficking victim who had escaped and tell them,
which is why we didn't make our own VPN,
and tell them, I'm going to keep running this platform. I don't have it in me.
Which is why we don't do that.
So honestly for me it's the same logic. I forget her name. She's like super private. Hold on. What's her name? No. I can't remember. There's someone who works on another like privacy platform. She's super cool. She did an interview recently. She doesn't do that many of them. But basically she was like, yeah, this is really important. Dang it. Anyway, well, whatever. Her whole being private thing worked then. Anyway, yeah, the point is, yeah, for me, it's really important. I support end-to-end encryption.
Me too.
And I think there's room for conversations around what that implementation looks like. Like, should we be allowed to have an end-to-end encrypted, very large group chat, for example, where you could organize an attack or something like that? And it's like, well, oh yeah, maybe that would be bad. But then the flip side of that is, okay, the government this is great. The government has declared that what's his nuts won the election, even though there's pretty significant evidence that he actually didn't, and people need to organize so that they can gather, so they can resist. Like that's why these platforms need to exist. The only problem,
what if a place is under attack and you're trying to evacuate as many people as you possibly can, and communications are being monitored so they can create choke points, and you want to avoid that? Like there's lots of super legitimate reasons as to why you would want these tools.
And the problem is that they don't move at the speed of a Telegram anymore.
Yeah.
So they move so fast that they're hard for enforcement to stay on top of. They're hard to deal with, and there's really bad stuff happening.
And it's not like this stuff isn't gonna happen, even if you take Telegram away.
No, but these tools are so powerful now. They can happen so fast.
No, I know, but
money moves around in shadows just so much more easily than it used to.
But like, I don't even want to name them, because I don't want to. I'm going to anyway, so get wrecked. But I feel like they don't cater to this stuff a ton, but it still happens on their platform anyways. But Discord,
yeah,
practically everyone has it these days.
Yeah,
and you can set up a server and invite 2,000 people to it instantly, and it all works instantly.
And there's no like personally identifying information to create an account.
A complete throwaway account, knowing it's going to be banned in 2 days.
Yep.
And not care, and then just you're there.
Yeah, whether it's encrypted or not, people are just going to be. And again, I was reading some article about this or other, and apparently there's just all kinds of like shorthands for discussing illicit material. I'm sure there's. Like as a person who doesn't get into that, like I could read a conversation and I could have no idea that it's even about that.
Well, that was a whole thing. I did not follow this enough. Okay. And this is probably, this is going to open a can of worms. I just remember a lot of the whole keyword thing that you're talking about being a part of this conversation, but the whole Pizzagate thing.
Yeah.
Pizza and hot dogs and do you want lunch and all this other type of stuff, where it all means something else. It's like, okay, these sound like completely normal conversations, but like, yeah, I don't know.
WrestleMania says, crimers use code
I
words.
love that he called them crimers. I read
Me
it too.
Me too.
That's great.
Thank you for that. Okay, we're not talking about the Pizzagate conspiracy theory around the one
No.
pizza restaurant.
Oh,
just
I
the terminology.
didn't even want
okay?
to bring it up. I just remember there was a lot
Yeah.
of conversations at that time about code words. That's all. Someone said Discord needs to moderate their platform better. Do you have
How?
any concept at all of how genuinely insane that would be?
It'd be impossible.
Like, what a crazy task. If we want properly, if we want moderated Discord on the level that you're talking about, I hope you're ready to pay $15 a month. Or more.
Yeah, that's the thing. These services are only viable as long as they're financially viable, right? You can't just say, oh, well, they need to. Okay. With what army? Right? It can't even just be randoms. These people would need training. They'd need criminal record checks. They would need the whole thing would have to be monitored and overseen. Who does it, right?
Coman said, or pay per server, LOL. Yeah, except Discord killed all of those.
Yeah.
Ventrilo and TeamSpeak and all those services are gone, basically. I know I technically still use TeamSpeak. Some of them, the TeamSpeak technically exists, but come on. It is not the same thing. And the thing that killed them all was Discord, because the servers are free.